So, Mr. Wills is going on a road trip. He is traveling from Cambridge to Ottawa, and the total distance he wishes to travel is 480 kilometers. So, he's going to do some of it on the 401 and some on Highway 7. Now, the speed limit on the 401, and Mr. Wills always drives the speed limit, is 100 kilometers an hour. And on Highway 7, I mean, you can go faster in most places, but on average, he's going to go about 60 kilometers per hour. His whole trip is going to take 6 hours. The question is, how far was he on each stretch of road? So I'm going to draw just a little diagram right here. He's going from, Cambridge to Ottawa. So here is Cambridge, and let's say over here, believe Cambridge is below Ottawa. Let's say Ottawa's up here. Oh. So part of it, let's say the first part, Mr. Wills travels on Highway 401. So this is Highway 401. 401. And then for the rest of it, and I'm not exactly sure how much, but I'll just draw another line, he travels on Highway 7. So this is Highway 7. Put a Y in there, Highway 7. And I want to find out how long he was on here for in terms of the distance and how much distance he traveled on here. Okay, all I know is that the total trip, okay, from point C to O took 6 hours. Now, before we begin this question, you do have to recall an important fact from physics, namely that speed is equal to distance over time. Okay, because we're going to use this fact here. So I'm going to write my let statements now. I'm going to let x represent the distance Mr. Wills traveled on Highway 401. So let x represent, okay, the distance traveled on Highway 401. 401 over here, and I'm going to let y represent the distance traveled on Highway 7. So I'll save some time. I'll just copy this, paste it here, and this is the highway, not 401, but Highway 7. There we go. Let me just move this diagram out of the way a little bit. There we go. And now we can start our equations. So I know in total he traveled 480 kilometers, so that's the easy one to set up. I know that x plus y is going to give me 480. Next is the one for the time. Now this is where I have to use this little equation here. If I rearrange it and put the t up here and switch the s and the t around, I will get time is equal to distance over speed. So I want to find the total time, which is 6 hours. So the distance on Highway 401 is x. The speed on 401 is 100. Again, distance over speed plus distance on Highway 7 over 60, because that was the speed he was traveling on Highway 7. So those two added together gives me 6 hours. And here I have a linear system that involves fractions in it. And I know how much you love fractions, but let's see what we can do to eliminate the fraction. So over here I have 100 and I have 60 in my denominators. I think what I'm going to do is multiply both sides of this fraction by the lowest common multiple of 160, and that is 300. Okay, so that 300 will be multiplied by every single term in this bracket, and what I end up with is, let's see here, so 300 times 6 will give me 1800, and then I get 300 times x over 100 plus 300 times y over 60. This brings this down into 3. This goes into this. And I am left with, what do we get? 5. So what is our new equation? I have 1800 is equal to 3x plus 5y, and I have no fractions. So that's good. Now I can use my modified version of equation 2 and equation 1, which I'm going to use by solving using substitution, to solve for x and y. So in this case, I'll recopy that down. I'm going to rewrite x in terms of y over here. So this becomes 480 minus y. And this is what I'm going to substitute into this equation here. In fact, to save some time, I'm going to just copy it. I'll take this 480 minus y and put it right here, because that's what I'm going to replace with my x value. Close it off, plus 5y. So 3 comes in, multiplied inside the brackets. What do I end up with? Well, I still have that 1800. 480 times 3, that'll give me 1200 plus 160, 1200 plus 240, so that'll be 1440 minus 3y plus 5y. And let's do the math here. Let's bring this over to the other side, bring this over, and that gives me that gives me 360, and 2y divide by 2, divide by 2, and my y value is 180. So 180 kilometers is spent on, what was y again? Highway 7. Therefore, the remainder of the trip was spent on Highway 401. And if we recall, the full trip took 480 kilometers. So that means the x value is 300 kilometers. And if you want to, again, calculate that, you can simply take this y value, substitute it into here, subtract, and that gives you the 300. But, you know, it's just as easy to do in your head. So we'll leave it at that. And there are your final distances.